I'm Maylani Huck, and this is Why Not Me B&B. We are going to jump into hunting for properties, where to look for them, how to find them, that sort of thing, all right? Just a reminder that your success is up to you, the research you do, the numbers you run, but I'm here to help you along the way, all right? So let's dive in. Remember the path. Okay, we're back at evaluating pricing. We've covered a little bit of that. Now we're going up to hunting for properties, all right? So as we hunt for properties, we want to talk about where to look for a property. Where are good places? Now, so many people think that it has to be the beach, it has to be the cabins, it has to be wherever. No. Y'all, I do not have any vacation destinations. This year, I will be getting some, so by the time you watch this, I might have some, so don't hold me to that. However, I did not start in vacation destinations, and for the first few years, I was just near hotels. I was near universities, not anything fancy. I didn't have any palm trees by any of my properties, all right? So look at these different options. By universities, by hospitals, by major tourist destinations, by nature getaways, maybe just a downtown location. Also, I don't know if it's on here, sorry, but airports. I like to be within 30 minutes of an airport, okay? Now, when you're looking at where to get your Airbnbs up and running, make sure that you are looking at the city ordinances, okay? You're gonna call the city, you're gonna call the county, you're gonna call the HOA, the HOA, I usually just read, but you're gonna get in contact with them, definitely with the city and with the county before you make an offer on a property, before you go under contract on a property. You wanna make sure that you are checking into the ordinances, okay? Now, when you talk to somebody on the phone, you're gonna wanna get an email confirmation. So even if you talk to somebody on the phone and they say, oh, we really don't have any legislation on that right now, currently, or whatever it is, you ask for their name, ask for their email, send them an email and say, hey, we just spoke. Thanks so much for your help. I just wanted to confirm I got it right, that as of right now, there is nothing in the city ordinances, whatever. Okay, you want to have that email so that you are protected down the road. Okay, just in case they pass something down the road that you can be grandfathered in. It helps your case a lot more if you've done your research and gotten it documented in some case. You don't need to go down and have them sign it or anything, but you need to document it in some way, okay? Now, this is happening all over the place, or where different cities are banning, or they're changing, or they're making you get a license. Do not get scared off by this. This is part of change. Like I've said before, this is new in the real estate industry and people are kind of scared of change. So don't let this scare you off, but instead be educated and be smart about it and make sure you're doing your research so you are properly equipped to get properties where you can do it and where are embracing it. Maybe they do have you get a B&B license. Some of these places that I have B&B licenses are like $150 a year. Yes, please. Don't, and other people are like, oh no, they make you get a license. Yeah, it's an operating expense. Like, that's ridiculous. I love the cities actually that make you get a license because it's like, okay, we've found a way to work with this new change in the industry. So don't be scared off by the city legislations on that kind of thing, okay? Just be educated about it. All right. Same thing with HOAs. Make sure that when you get into a property, before you get into a property, that you are looking at the covenants. Now, even if some things that it might say is no hotel-like activity, or it might say a minimum of 120 days or something like that. You know what? Maybe not worth it, especially if you're new. Okay. If it says something like you cannot run a business, seek legal counsel. I am not your attorney. However, from the research that I've done and the research of my attorneys, I'm not running a business. I'm running a rental property. I have a family in there. It might be a different family than it was last week, but I'm running a rental property, just like the family next door, except for this family's only in there for 5 days instead of a year. Okay, so don't be like, oh, it says I can't run a business. You are not increasing foot traffic. You are not, there's so many different things, but talk to your attorney. And if you get the HOA covenants and you have a question, speak to an attorney about it to make sure that you're covered, okay? Now, usually for your first one or two, I say stay away HOA, okay? Stay away from HOAs. We've had to shut down over the years only 3 properties because HOAs at the beginning said they were fine with it. They didn't have anything in their covenants, but they decided to change that about 8 months down the road. And so we did have to shut down 3 different properties in different locations because the HOAs changed their mind. However, we are in a lot of other HOAs that love us. In fact, I'm in one HOA that 80% of us are Airbnb runners, hosters, whatever you want to call it, okay? Hosters, runners, whatever. We run Airbnbs as we are hosts, okay? So make sure that you're doing your research on each of these different properties. And like I said, research if you have to do a B&B license, and make sure you're calculating that into your projections before you sign any sort of contract, to make sure that you've evaluated that sort of cost. All right. Now, what type of property should I be looking for, Meilani? Well, I'm glad you asked. So let's talk about, it could be a personal vacation home, maybe a place in the cabin, like a cabin in the mountains that you want to get, or maybe it's just a guest room or a house in your home. Maybe it's a condo or townhome. Preferably without an HOA, but if you have them, just make sure that you're smart about it, okay? And this is where I started. I actually started in condos and townhomes, 2 to 3 bedrooms. That was my bread and butter, 2 to 3 bedrooms. Like you might have heard so far, I did not want risk. I wanted just a step up from a hotel where I could still be making money. So I wanted it bigger than a 1 studio hotel room type room. So I wanted the 2 to 3 bedrooms, and also the rent for 2 to 3 bedroom townhomes in my areas made the most sense, okay? But then we started getting into single family homes, and y'all, I made so much more money on my single family homes. But like you might have noticed, I wasn't ready for that at the beginning. I wanted to baby step my way into it. And now that we're in the single family homes and doing really well, now we're starting to get into the retreat lodges, the 10 bedrooms, the luxury level. So there's so many different options. In fact, let's look at some of these options. These are real Airbnb properties, you guys. So this is the first one, the romantic bus in the forest. Dome room in Sacred Forest. Clock Tower guest suite. You guys, how cool is that? Look at this. You can actually stay in the clock tower. Oh my goodness, my kids would love this one. The secluded in-town treehouse. I have people all over that are building these. If you've got an acre of land and want to and if you can in your area, if you want to put up a tiny house or a cabin or a treehouse, you guys, they're huge. They're so popular. Or a yurt. If you don't know what a yurt is, look it up. Look up yurt Airbnbs. You will be blown away. They're so cheap. They're so easy to put up. But guys, there's more. There's more. Stay tuned. Look at this one. This one is called the Dog Bark Park Inn. How cute is that? Oh my goodness. These are real Airbnbs, you guys, but this one is the one that blows me away. RVs and hammocks. This RV in LA goes for $236 per night in Los Angeles. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty pimped out Airstream and it's got a beautiful view, but y'all, it is still an RV for $236 a night. How crazy is that? Right? Okay, but the hammocks, you guys, hammocks! $25 a night for a hammock and they don't even have a bathroom. Just think of the options on your properties that you already have or that you're trying to get. I want you to be creative. And how cool that with Airbnb, you can get into this business. You didn't even have to interview for a job. You just have to provide a cool space and be hospitable, and Airbnb will keep you. How awesome is that? So make sure that you're broadening your horizons, trying to think of different options. Okay, so like I talked about, you could do all sorts of different things. Luxury retreat destinations, the options are endless, okay? But really start to think outside the box. Now, as real estate investors, the definition of invest is to expend money with the expectation of achieving a profit. Now, when I first started in this space, I was like, oh, well I've always wanted a boat. How can I put that on Airbnb? I've always wanted a RV, how can I put that on Airbnb? And all those toys that I always was like, no, Dave Ramsey would not allow me to go buy a boat. But y'all, with Airbnb, you turn those little toys into investments. It's awesome. I know, I'm totally geeking out, but you guys, it really is such a fun space in real estate to be in. When I think of rehabbing. Now, again, some of you are rocking the rehabbing world and flipping houses, but when I think of sitting in that courtroom multiple times with terrible general contractors or different things, I get a little something like a little throw up right there because it's so stressful, so stressful. Airbnb is so fun, you guys. You get to be creative. You get to think of different ways to create hospitable locations. At the beginning, I was like, must be safe. What type of look does Marriott and Hilton use? I will use the same type of bedding. But then I was like, forget this. And I started branching out. And I noticed that my clients, my guests were coming. And at one point I had like almost the exact same furnishings, except for in one house, I had put like little saying, like pictures around, like quote boards kind of thing that it was like, you know, I don't know. You know those funny ones that are like in the bathroom, or even Southern Charm, Southern cinnamon rolls, all good things, or, you know, just something that warms your heart. Anyways, just those little cute saying ones. The bedding was the exact same. The beds were almost the exact same. The lamps were almost the exact same. But I had this guest that wanted to stay long-term in one of the properties, so I was trying to move one of my guests over to one of my other properties, and they said no, because they said, it doesn't seem like it has the charm that the other one has. I'm like, y'all, it's like less than 1.5 miles from each other, and all it has is those little plaques. But to really start embracing a home and turning it into like a fun location, that is why people stay in Airbnbs. Don't get me wrong, I still have my Marriott lookalikes, my Hilton lookalikes that are just basic standard, and a lot of corporate people stay there, a lot of families stay there. It's still great. But how fun that you can also use your imagination to turn it into something more fun as well, okay? So, how to look for properties. This is just going to be the tip of the iceberg of different ways to look, okay? You're going to start with, you know, you can look at the Trulia, Zillows. I use an app called PadMapper. There's lots of different rental property apps out there, but this is the one I use. So I pull up my PadMapper app out, and when I'm in a location that's like, oh, I don't have any in this location, and this is a cute area, I want to open something. I'll pull up my app and it'll show me what's for rent in the area, okay? You can, of course, use MLS. Target and Find, that's like if you want to direct mail an area that you're like, I know that this is going to be a good area. It's got an airport. It's got a lot of hotels. It's got, when we talk about a lot of hotels, I can't remember if it's later in the slides or not, but the hotel industry has done the research for you guys. So if you're looking for a place and you're like, I just don't know if people stay there. Is there a hotel? Because if there's a hotel, then I can promise you that hotel industry has put a lot of money into researching if people are going to need to stay there. So let's say some of those different items, it's like, oh, I really want to be in this area because I know there's a hotel and a university, or an airport and a hospital, or something like that. So if you want to target different areas, that's when you can get back into direct mail. I say back into because I know a lot of you watching are real estate investors and are probably familiar with direct mail. If not, I'm sure Propelio has an awesome academy thing on it. So you can actually target where you're looking for. You can do door knocking campaigns, just like I used to do when I was rehabbing housing and wholesaling. So you can go door knocking if you really have an area. We've only done this twice in areas that we really, really do well in, and we know that HOA is fine with it. Sorry guys, gotta go pick up my daughter for preschool. I apologize. Sorry about that. Targeting and finding, okay? Let's keep going. Sorry about that. Let's see. All right, up next is when you're ready, it is time to start approaching property managers and realtors, okay? So as we go through this in just a second, it's going to start to come together a little bit more. But for property managers, at first, I try to stay away from, because they're like, oh no, Airbnb, oh, terrible. But then it's like, oh, wait, hold on. You can take the keys over the day we have it cleaned. Oh, I don't even have to put this property back on the MLS. You're ready to rent it? Because I approach a landlord or a realtor or a property manager, and when they say, oh no, please no Airbnb, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry it didn't work out on this one. If you ever have any others that come up, please let me know, because I'm actually looking to open another 3 in the next month. I'm looking to open another 3 in the next 6 months. Whatever it is for you. And all of a sudden their ears perk up of, wait, what? You want more than one? Oh, I can get more business than just the one. So then it's like getting them thinking of, oh. I've also gone in and done lunch and learns for realtors or property management companies, so that they're not like, oh, the unknown is bad, but instead like opening up the conversation of, if you have a property that's been sitting on the market as a rental for more than 3 months, you need to call me, because if it's in the right area and if it has a nice rent, I'm in. Like, I'll do it. And I can move in within 14 days. And, I'm going to keep, you have the whole splurge. I'm going to keep it clean, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to sign a regular rental lease. Like, you're going to love me. I'm going to be the best client you've ever had. And I might take 12 from you in the next 4 months. You know what I mean? So definitely set that expectation. Don't take a, oh no, as, oh, dang it, they don't like us. Okay, come on, guys. This is real estate investing. It's going to take a couple nudges before they get in the ball game, okay? So don't be turned off at the beginning. Be prepared to hear a lot of no's from property managers, especially if you don't have a portfolio yet. But once you get a few going and you have that confidence and you have those properties, then you can go and say, oh, yeah, look at what I do. Like, yeah, let me know when you're ready. When you have another property, just send it over. Especially in November, December, January, when it's a little slow, I'm your girl. Just send it on over. Yeah, if it's in a great area, if it makes sense price-wise, let's make it work, okay? Then they start opening their mind. They're like, okay, yeah. And so now I don't have to go looking. I don't have to go cold calling anymore. Landlords, property managers, realtors, they're sending properties to me because they don't want it to sit on the market. They don't want that gap in, oh, we have 6 weeks to find somebody or whatever it is, okay? So definitely at the beginning, you might be kind of afraid to it, but then get into working with have your network that is feeding you properties, okay? All right, now let's talk about the step-by-step landlord pitch and the system that I use to pitching to our landlords. Okay. Now, before you go and pitch, you want to make sure that you're just aware that the peak finding season, now this doesn't mean you can't do it in the other seasons, but I'm just saying that the peak finding season for using other people's properties is going to be October through February, okay? The hardest season is going to be June, July, August, okay? Sometimes even May, okay? Because then you're competing against all the families that are moving because of the schools, whatever. So, it goes along with the same cycle. So just be smart about it. So I really amp up how many I'm opening in the finding season, the peak season. But that's not to say that I haven't opened them in May, June, July, August as well, especially because sometimes my landlords still send them to me and they're like, we were going to put this on the market, but do you want it? Because they love the idea of someone that is going to keep it clean, but also that wants like a lifetime relationship with them. Like, I want to be, if I'm going through the trouble of setting up my furniture and taking pictures and posting a profile, that took me a long time, 3 days, whatever it is. Like, I invested the time. I want this to work out for 5 years, 10 years. Whenever you're ready to sell, I'm your girl, okay? Make sure they know that, because when they get that, they start feeding you more and more and more, okay? Also make sure that they know and that you know that you're ready to move in within 2 to 3 weeks, okay? Before I start pitching people on, I'm ready to, I'd like to come and rent your house or whatever it is, I'd like to arbitrage, whatever it is, I know that in my schedule, I'm ready to move in within 2 to 3 weeks. So if you're going on vacation, if it's right before Thanksgiving, if it's right before Christmas, calculate it so you know realistic when you'll be able to move in. Okay. And then just know that you will have 3 days to really, really find a property. Okay. This isn't like, let's try one. Guys, it drives me bonkers when my students, sometimes we'll do coaching calls or we'll do Facebook Lives in our Facebook group and they'll be like, yeah, it's not working. I've talked to 5 different people. Or, oh my gosh, you guys, if they say, I went and saw 5 different properties. Oh my gosh. Do not go see the properties until you know they are interested. What a waste of time. You are going to get so burned out if you're going to go and see all these properties, okay? So we're going to talk about this process. Sorry, I get a little riled up. But make sure that you know you're going to get a lot of no's, guys. It's going to be a lot of no's. But you're also going to get yeses. And you are going to get raving fans like realtors and landlords and property managers that are going to start feeding you leads, okay? So be prepared for yeses, but don't get discouraged if you get 6 no's. That just means you're 6 closer to finding your yes, okay? So when you are ready to actually target and you're ready to find a landlord to work with, you're going to use those things we talked about. You're going to use MLS, you're going to use PadMapper, you're going to use whatever, and you're going to create a spreadsheet like this, okay? Where you set up the address, you're going to look at the contact name, the phone, the email, and then you're going to have how many times you've contacted them, okay? So on the right of this, I also have contact number 1, number 2, number 3, until you have contacted them at least 7 times, okay? You are waiting for either a yes or a stop bothering me or I'm calling the police. Other than that, you are going to contact them 7 times. I say touch them 7 times because you're either emailing, you're texting, you're calling, all of those different things, okay? So you're going to start a list. And I say, as we go through this, we talked about this, okay? You're going to gather the list of properties, okay? You're going to use those things that we talked about. You're going to analyze the pictures, and as you're looking at these pictures, you're going to get better at it, but you're going to look for properties that, if they're quirky, that's okay. Quirky's okay. Dirty, not okay. all right? So quirky, that you can turn into something hipster, that you can turn into something cozy, but dirty, not okay. All right, so that's the line. When you're looking at these pictures, sometimes even they're like, oh, it's got 80s, like it's rocking the brass shower, it's, you know, whatever. That's okay. That's okay. But can you embrace it and still turn it into something with character, okay? But if it's dirty, or if it's like in a dirty neighborhood, or your neighbor has like, I don't know, 3 trampolines and 4 broke down cars, like big no, okay? So you're gonna look at the pictures. You're gonna analyze I use Google Earth and I analyze the area, okay? Is it right next to a strip club? Is it right next to a daycare? You know, whatever it is, those aren't all bad. The reason why I said the strip club is because I have a property right next to a strip club, you guys. Yep, this Mormon girl has a property right next to the strip club, all right? But it's one of our top producers. It's one of our top producers, and it's also next to the hospital, right next to a university. So you want to make sure that you know the area. When I first saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, it's right next to the strip club. Well, it is across the tracks from a strip club. So it's right across the street and the tracks from a strip club. But on the other side is gorgeous with gardens and beautiful. And most directions you're going to come from this way for the freeway, okay? So I'm just saying, make sure you know what the location is, all right? Now, when I go onto my spreadsheet, I'm going to do at least 10, but aim for 20, okay? And out of 20, you're hoping to get 1, 2, or 3 yeses. If you get more than that, awesome. But don't be planning on getting a yes on every single one, guys. Whenever I approach 20 landlords, I get 1, 2, or 3 yeses. And those I move on with. The others that I don't move on with, I put in a drip. Okay, an email drip. I'm sorry it didn't work out on this property, especially if they're a realtor or a property manager. The one-off landlords, you can research if they have more properties and put them in the drip. Oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed. Okay, now it's really off. Then you put them in the drip, and so that you're continuing to approach them and say, hey, do you have any more properties? So I touch them about every other month or every quarter to say, I'm ready for another property. Have you found any? Do you have any? Do you have any coming up? Again, we're looking for 4 by the end of the year, 2 by the end of the month, something like that, okay? So those no's, they're not no's, they're maybe laters, okay? So make sure you are still using those contacts, those emails. You spent the time to research it and put it on a spreadsheet. Don't let those leads die. Those are leads for the future that you need to be capitalizing on, okay? So at the end of, you know, I usually block out 3 days. Block out, I just mean that I don't have appointments because I need to be ready to go if somebody says, oh yeah, I'm interested in that. And I need to be ready to go and look at the property, okay? So as you're looking through it and you're putting it into your your spreadsheet, make sure you're noting the date available as well. So that in your emails or in your texts or in your phone calls, you can say, oh yeah, that's perfect for our timing. That's exactly when we want to move in, okay? And we'll be able to take the keys from you the next day or the first day, as long as it matches the pictures, you know, something like that, okay? So just be confident of what you've got going. But once you put it on a spreadsheet, do not lose that information. Put it and use it in a follow-up, in a lead generating follow-up, okay? We talked about property managers being a two-edged sword. So at the beginning, they're gonna say no, but once they soften up to you, then I had one that was so passionate about, we do not do that. And now she has sent me, I think, 12. Like, she sends them to me like all the time. And it's just this one-man show. So anyways, two-edged sword, but make sure that property managers, that if you're afraid of them at the beginning, don't be afraid for too long. Turn your enemy into your friend because they're gonna start sending you leads, okay? All right, and like I said, do not visit any properties yet. Please, 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 you're analyzing these properties. Everything you can do from your desk so far, okay? Do not, like for me, maybe it's, for me, you know, I got a gaggle of 5 kids who I love so much, but to me it's like, oh, is it worth getting a babysitter for? No, I'll make sure that they really want to work with me first and then I'll go. So do not waste your time going to these properties yet, okay? You've looked at the pictures, you've analyzed the area, you've analyzed different things, okay? So now you've got this list of your properties. Now you're gonna spend your time and you're gonna go and contact each one. So let's talk about how that looks, okay? So contact number 1. is going to be either phone or email. Make sure that you rave about how much you love the property and how it's perfect. It's exactly what you're looking for, okay? And you don't even, so I like to say, be transparent, but don't be upfront, okay? So be transparent, but don't be upfront. And what I mean by that is, until you get them on the phone or until they have responded to one of your emails, do not mention anything about an Airbnb. Don't mention anything about a short-term rental. They're not going to call you back unless you talk about how much you love the property. It's exactly what we've been looking for. Rave about how great it is. And if you have a great credit score, say, oh, you know what? I've attached my credit report. If you have a good rental income, I make this much a year. Attached are my W-2s if you want to even. Like, strengthen your case of, this is a house I want. I'm qualified. I'm a great candidate. Talk to me, pick up the phone, email me, engage with me, okay? So the first one, phone or email, whatever it is, don't say anything. Don't say anything about Airbnb hosting, okay? Now, in our full course, you can get access to all of the exact templates we use, but as long as you're just making sure that you're not covering, don't talk about it yet, okay? Be transparent, but not upfront, okay? Oh, no, let's go back. Number 2, okay? Number 2 should be the opposite of whatever you did for contact 1. So let's say you did an email, then you're going to do a phone call, okay? This can be done the same day or the next day. I recommend a few hours later or the next day, okay? So, but make sure it's the opposite mode of what you did before, okay? Follow-up number 3 to 7 are going to be rotating emails and phone calls and adding in texts as well, okay? Texting them. Hey, I noticed you haven't responded to my email, but I'm so excited about your property. It's exactly what I want, blah, blah, blah. You're like a broken record, okay? You're gonna say almost the same thing on every single one, but just get them in different ways and be persistent. So I try to touch them 7 times in 9 days. Okay, 7 times in 9 days, because like I said, I've kind of set this in my calendar of, I know I want to move into a property in 2 to 3 weeks. I've set aside these 3 days, so I am just going to hound them until they respond to me, okay? Now, step number 5, is that where we're at? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Be ready so that you are like 90% sure you want this property. So as soon as they say yes, that you are like, oh, great, I'm going to go over and just make sure that it's exactly what we need, but then I'll be ready to sign tonight. Can I sign a contract tonight? We're so excited about this. Be their best client ever, okay? But you have to be ready. And so that's why I say block out the 3 days, is because if you have doctor's appointments, if you have whatever, that's why you just need your time to be flexible during those 3 days so that you are ready to move and take action as soon as you do get a yes, okay? Yeah, all right, let's move on. Now, your goal of all of these touches is to get them on the phone, to actually be able to call them, to them to be able to hear your voice, for you to be able to say how wonderful the property is, but also what a great, great client you are, what a great renter you are, how clean you'll keep it. You'll keep it as a 5-star property. You'll barely even use the appliances. And then you're also going to start talking about the way that we do that is actually through turning it into a short-term rental, okay? Some people at this point will be like, oh yeah, we're not interested. We don't do that. We don't allow subletting, blah, blah, blah. Okay, oh man, do you have any other properties? So a no does not mean no. It means not right now. Okay, I think I've said that like 10 times, but I think you're getting it. But even when they say that, don't be like, oh man, I'm never gonna find a property. Thank you so much. Oh man, do you know of any other properties that might be available? Okay, I'll reach back out in a month. Don't ask if you can reach back out. Just say, oh, I'll reach back out in a month, see if you have anything else, okay? Get them to ask you more details. Okay, so as soon as they've emailed you back saying, oh yeah, tell me more about you, or go fill out an application. Oh, I would be interested in filling out an application, but I'm kind of a unique renter, so I'd like to get on a phone call or send you a letter more about why I'm unique. Is that okay? So that is kind of the process of that one. So until they engage asking you for more details, don't divulge the short-term rental thing yet, okay? Now, like I said before, be 90% sure before you contact them that you've looked at pictures, you've looked at the location, you've ran numbers to get an idea of if it's gonna make sense. Because on the phone, that's like go time. Like you should be 90% sure that you want this property when you're on the phone with them, so that you can say, oh yeah, I'm ready to sign the contract in an hour. Is that okay? Or after I go double check the property one more time, but I'm so excited about it, I want to sign it tonight. Okay? They love that, because as soon as you get them going, you don't want them to be days of, oh, well, let me check with the landlord. Oh, great, check back with the landlord, but I really am so excited and we'd love to move in 10 days if that's okay. Obviously, the landlord's going to be like, yes, don't let my property sit on the market anymore. Most people that come in are your competitors. They're going to be saying, oh, we can move in next month. We can, at the end of the month, we've got to finish up whatever we're going. Oh, sometimes I even say, I can move on in 5 days, 10 days, 5 business days, whatever it is, okay? So be 90% sure. Okay, block your days so you can find and go. If this one doesn't work, like we talked about, make sure you save that lead and follow up with them. Add them to your drip campaign to see if they have any others that are going to come up in the future, okay? Now, we've talked about that, so let's keep going. Be transparent, but not upfront, all right? Let's see. Let's go through these. We've talked about that one. Okay, also make sure that you say that when they say, well, what, like, is there like a special contract? No, I make sure that they feel like they have control. Oh no, we can use whatever, the state contract, we can use your contract, whatever you'd like to use, but I do have an addendum that's been drawn up by our attorneys to protect both of us. I'll send that over for you to review, okay? It's a 1-page addendum. It's not like huge legalese. Again, that's something that we have in our course that we have perfected. Make sure you talk to a lawyer about how you're gonna get an addendum drawn up. Please do not draw up your own addendum. You really need legal counsel on this, or you need to use one that has been proven, okay? So yes, make sure that they know that we can use your contract, but we just need to use my addendum. Okay, memorize your selling points. Okay, now once you get on the phone, you're going to start to do this really easy, and it's just going to. But maybe this is something you practice in your mirror. Okay, so that you can just have that confidence of, oh, I know we're going to keep it at the 5-star level because we get reviewed also, and so we have to keep it at that 5-star review. So that the better we do, the better our income. So that it's going to be awesome. Or talk about how it's going to be minimal use on their appliances, professional cleaners. So make sure that you've got your pitch and that you've practiced it. So when you get on the phone, you're not just like, it's good and I pay you every month. Okay. So make sure that you're ready and that you've practiced. And so you've gained that property, that confidence, because even if you don't have a property, you can do this. You can do this, guys. It's the easiest way to get into real estate investing and grow your portfolio. I promise you can do this, but you might have to, pitch it to your dog a few times just to get that confidence level up. Okay. Once they're interested, boof, then you go see the property, okay? Do not waste your time driving around town looking at these properties until they have said, yes, I am interested, okay? But be ready to go as soon as they say that, okay? Here are a few follow-up tips. We talked about this. We talked about those two. The average varies, so don't get discouraged. What I mean by that is out of my 20, sometimes I get 1, sometimes I get 3. It depends on the month. It depends on the price range. It depends on the location. So don't get discouraged, but I promise there are landlords out there. Remember this, you guys. You are not selling them anything. In fact, you are taking them up on their offer. They just didn't realize that there's a better way, there's a better opportunity than what they even thought was out there. They were looking for someone to rent their home, hopefully for a year, and hopefully they were going to pay rent on time. Hopefully they have a job that's going to provide income. Hopefully they're not going to tear the house apart. Remember, when you go to these landlords, you have something they don't even know they want. They want a renter who's going to pay on time, that has a stream of income. Hello, you're using their property as your stream of income. It's going to be awesome. That they are going to keep it in a good level. They're not going to put holes in the walls, that sort of thing. Okay, you have what they want, but they don't even know they want it. They know they want a renter, but you can open their eyes to something that they didn't even know was possible, that is so much better than what they even thought. When you let them know that you want to be in a relationship for 5, 10, 20 years, or until they want to sell the property, you guys, they love this. So remember, you're not selling them something. You are just letting them know about something they didn't know was out there, okay? But that they're gonna want because it works best for you. It is a win-win situation. It is totally, Stephen Covey should put that in the definition of win-win, is arbitraging. Okay, so get used to saying no, but ready to act on a yes. Okay, I think we've pounded that in as well. Emailing once is not trying 3 to 7 touches. Okay, let me get my newscaster voice on. You guys, emailing once is not trying to contact a landlord. Okay, that is ridiculous. Okay, it makes me so sad when my students like give up. They give up on this amazing opportunity because they're like, I know I emailed like 20 and none of them got back to me. Okay, like, yeah, no, I know it's first off, we can talk about that. We could talk about a tangent of how lame it is that realtors are trying to rent out a property yet they don't call back or email back people who are interested. Like, don't get me started on that. Even though I'm a realtor, I feel like I can say that. So don't get me started on that. However, but it also frustrates me when students are like, but I tried, I emailed and they didn't respond. Okay, have you called them? Have you texted them? Have you emailed twice, 3 times? Have you stalked them? Where are they on Facebook? Hey, I noticed you're the realtor that's listing a property that I really am interested in. You guys, if you're serious about this, I mean, I don't like really mean stalk them, but you're definitely gonna need to follow up with them 3 to 7 times, okay? I'll be honest, guys. I don't want you to think that 3 times 7, sorry, I don't know why I said 3, that 20, like our list of 20 times 7 touches, I never have to do that. I find a property way before that. Okay, I don't have to do all those, but I have it sit in my schedule that is my plan to touch all 27 times, but I always find at least 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, even faster than that. And if so, yay, I have 3 properties that I'm moving into in 2 weeks. It's time to go shopping, which we're going to talk about in just a second, which is exciting. Like I talked about, you have a great offer that they want. Have that confidence. You're not selling them on something, you guys. You have a great offer that they want. They just don't know that it's available, okay? Be persistent. Don't get discouraged. I think we've definitely talked about this. And just remember that now this is one of the harder parts about this is because it's not fun to be said no to. It's not. But if you're persistent, I promise you, you are going to find somebody that is going to be one of your friends. In fact, I love my landlords. We are both so happy. They love getting paid on time. They love having clean houses. I'm happy because sometimes I'm making more money than they are. This is a great relationship. You're looking for new friends that happen to be landlords. So once you've got them, that's awesome. Now we're going to go shopping and talk about the next step. See you soon. Alrighty.